Right now, more than 2 out of 3 homes in Midtown Atlanta are closing below the asking price. But why is that? Well, I've been helping families find their new home in town Atlanta for 28 years. So I've seen exactly what makes homes hot and what makes homes cold. Today, I'm breaking down what these things are that have some homes with multiple offers and others that just sit on the market. Let's get started. Here's cold number 1. Floor level and view matter more than ever. To start with, this isn't simple. I mean, there's no hard rule here. A unit can be priced right, staged beautifully, and still sit. And a lot of times, it comes down to floor level. Let me explain why. Buyers in Midtown want to be high enough to get natural light, open air, and real sight lines. And because of that, ground floor units can be a tougher sell. I hear it over and over. It feels exposed with no privacy at all. And at street level, in a dense neighborhood like Midtown, the day-to-day ends up being affected. Most buyers don't want to be on the ground floor. That objection comes up consistently. Now, the view conversation is more nuanced, and I want to be careful here because this is something buyers don't fully understand until it's too late. Midtown doesn't universally protect skyline views. If there's an empty lot next door, it can be developed. And when that happens, the view you had can be gone forever. It happens all the time unless there's a permanent barrier like Piedmont Park sitting in front of you. There's no guarantee your sightline stays intact. There are specific corridors where height is more restricted. Piedmont Avenue and parts of Juniper, especially on the east-facing sides near the park and the lower density residential areas. Everywhere else, you're exposed to whatever gets approved next door. Keep that in mind because when we talk about HOA, you're going to see that some of these same buildings without protected views are also the ones feeling pressure on fees. Stay with me. Now, when a unit faces directly into another building or sits low without meaningful light or air, demand softens. Buyers account for that risk, and floor and view can work against a property in ways no renovation budget can fix. The second cold signal is supply. And the numbers there are even harder to ignore. But before we get into that, if you own in Midtown or you're actively shopping here, this is where local context becomes critical. I know these buildings, the stats, the orientations, the HOA histories. I've seen the cycles and I can tell you exactly where a specific unit falls on this spectrum. Reach out using the contact information in the description. Okay, now let's move into the supply side. This is cold number 2. The attached home market is sitting longer. 30 units for sale in the same building at the same time. It may sound like a lot, but that's what Midtown looks like right now in the condo market. Median days on the market right now are around 100 days. Detached homes are moving faster. The slowdown is concentrated in the attached segment, which are condos and some townhomes. The core issue is competition. Midtown is dense. You can be in a tower with 250 to 300 units and have 30 of them listed at once. So at the end of the day, you're not just competing with the building next door, you're competing with your own neighbors. Same stack, similar finishes, similar layouts. In that environment, buyers get very selective. They'll wait for the exact floor, the view they love, and the condition that checks all their boxes. They can afford to wait. The numbers add another layer. With 30-year mortgage rates around 6%, buyers are running full monthly cost calculations before they move forward. They're looking at the mortgage on a unit in the mid-400s, adding HOA dues, taxes, and insurance, and then comparing that to a slightly higher-priced detached home with no HOA and no shared walls. A lot of them are choosing the detached option because the monthly payment feels more predictable. And that monthly math also ties into something we'll cover when we talk about the hot side of the market. Deeded parking can absolutely shift a buyer's decision in that comparison. Stick around. Now, attached homes are still selling. That's true. Pricing just has to reflect what else is active inside the same building. When a seller prices above what else is active in the building, that's when the days start stacking up. Within the attached market, though, not everything performs the same. The gap shows up in a very specific place, and that's the next cold factor. Cold number 3. One bedroom, one bath units are a tougher sell. The buyer pool for a one bedroom, one bath is smaller, and it's also more specific than a lot of sellers expect. Today's buyer walks in looking for flexibility. Even if they aren't working from home full time, they want to see space for a desk. It's about having enough space to host people and set the layout up the way they've always pictured it. In a smaller home, like a one bedroom, that flexibility just isn't there. And you can feel that the moment you step inside. One bedrooms do sell, but pricing has to be sharp. The condition has to be clean, and sellers need to understand that the buyer pool is capped. In a 300 unit tower, there's a strong chance another one bedroom will list while yours is active. That internal competition needs to be built into the pricing strategy from the start, not after 2 months of feedback. This also ties back to something we'll come back to on the stronger side of the market. The layouts getting the most traction right now are the ones offering that flexibility. Stay tuned. All right, we've covered 3 cold signals so far, but the next one tends to surprise sellers more than almost anything else. Cold number 4, parking and walkability aren't uniform across Midtown. A lot of agents will say Midtown has parking covered. What they don't always explain is that it's not identical in every building, and that difference can cost a seller. Most buildings around here do offer assigned or deeded parking, but there are a handful of properties, especially some of the older ones, where parking isn't guaranteed for every unit. There simply aren't enough spaces. In those cases, some residents rely on street parking or lease a spot elsewhere. In a dense neighborhood like Midtown, that can create friction. Street parking here can be a nightmare. Some streets require permits, event traffic changes everything, a show at the Fox, a festival at Piedmont Park, a concert nearby, all of that can leave you circling for a spot. Midtown has a lot of converted historic homes in high-density blocks, so curb space fills quickly. For a buyer who drives daily or gets home late, that uncertainty feels bigger than it sounds. For some buyers, it stops the conversation completely. Now, on walkability, Midtown scores in the mid to upper 80s on the walk score. That places it among the most walkable areas in Atlanta. You're within walking distance to groceries, coffee, restaurants, and MARTA. The lifestyle is real, and it's one of the main reasons people choose this neighborhood over other in-town areas. Rail access, though, depends on location. MARTA stations are clustered in specific corridors. If you're several blocks away and rail access is important to you, you'll notice that distance. Midtown isn't an area where most residents rely on buses for daily commuting. Buyers who care about rail need to look at building placement, not just the neighborhood name. Now, the next cold signal is the one sellers tend to underestimate the most, and it comes down to the financial side. Cold number 5, high HOA fees without amenities to justify them. $400 a month, no pool, no gym, no concierge, and buyers are supposed to say yes? That's not theoretical. A meaningful number of Midtown listings are in that exact position right now. And it's one of the main reasons contracts are slowing down. With monthly carrying costs already elevated, a $400 to $500 HOA fee gets questioned. Buyers are doing the math. When that fee is tied to a building without a strong amenity package, people pause. They start looking at other options. The buildings feeling the most pressure tend to be older. Over time, dues increase to cover aging infrastructure, elevators, facades, and mechanical systems. Maintenance in an older building is expensive. The cost flows into the HOA. The money's going somewhere that makes sense. Buyers just don't experience it as a visible benefit. Right now, buyers are also asking detailed questions about reserves and potential assessments. Awareness around post-closing exposure is super high. If a building has thin reserves and already elevated dues, that raises concern quickly. Units in the low 300s with monthly fees climbing past $700 are seeing more price reductions than most. That price point combined with that monthly carry is a hard sell when other options exist. Now that's the full cold picture. 5 documented factors. All of them put pressure on specific properties. On the other side of this market though, a very different pattern is playing out. Hot number 1, direct access to Piedmont Park. The strongest view protection in Midtown has nothing to do with zoning rules. What actually protects your view here is a massive green space where no one can build. Piedmont Park, more than 200 acres right in the center of Midtown, is the single biggest stabilizer of views in this entire neighborhood. And buildings that sit directly on the park are in a completely different demand category because of that. Think back to the view risk we talked about in cold number 1. Around here, a skyline view can disappear the second a neighboring lot gets developed. That's just how this area works. But when your unit faces Piedmont Park, that risk goes away. The park is your buffer. No one's building in front of it. That view is basically permanent. In a neighborhood where views change all the time, the security of knowing yours isn't going anywhere comes with a premium price tag. Buildings like Lux Midtown on 12th Street and Park View on 13th sit right along the park's edge, and those units move fast. Buyers understand the long-term value of what they're getting. Now, I want to clear something up because this gets mixed up all the time. Midtown doesn't have the most direct Beltline access in the city. From most of Midtown, you're walking through or around Piedmont Park to reach it. And the park is big, so that's not a short walk. If being right on the Beltline is your number one thing, you're probably looking in a different area. Midtown really shines with direct park access. But I'll tell you this, once those park-facing units get claimed, they rarely come back to market. That limited supply is the base of what's driving speed in the hot side of this market. Hot number 2, detached homes. If park-facing condos are limited, detached homes inside Atlanta are on another level. They're rare. Midtown is mostly condos and high-rises. There's very little single-family inventory and almost no new detached construction happening inside the area. So buyers who want that urban lifestyle without being in a condo building are chasing a very tight supply. No shared walls and real privacy. In a lot of cases, no HOA overhead. You can even get a yard, but there's barely anything new being built to replace what sells. Detached homes in Midtown have been selling in the mid-800s and well above. Recent sales show this segment is holding value, even while the broader condo market feels some pressure. The math here is simple. There just aren't many detached homes inside the area. There aren't many more coming either. That limited supply is what keeps prices strong and days on market short. If you're trying to decide between a condo and a detached home and the numbers feel close, the data right now is pretty clear about which one tends to hold value better over time. And that scarcity theme doesn't stop with detached homes. You see it show up in the smaller details too, the kind most people overlook. Hot number 3, secure off-street parking. Earlier, I talked about parking as a cold market liability. That same detail, handled the right way, becomes a real advantage. A deeded, secure parking space means you have a specific spot assigned to your unit. It's guaranteed, it's yours, and no one else can use it. And if you've ever tried parking around here on a Friday night during a Fox theater show, you already know why that changes the conversation. Buyers absolutely respond differently when a listing can guarantee that kind of certainty. Once you get into the higher price points, 2 parking spaces kind of become the expectation. You're not relying on the street every night, and when buyers feel that day-to-day ease, they get comfortable. And when they're comfortable, they move quicker. Same neighborhood, same price range, the unit with deeded parking competes cleanly. The one without it has to explain itself. And a lot of times, the difference between hot and cold here isn't location or finishes, it's paperwork. Deeded versus not deeded, that's the line. Hot number 4, clear views of Piedmont Park or an unobstructed Midtown skyline. On the hot side of this market, having a view isn't enough. What really drives demand is whether that view is protected and cannot be taken away. Units with clear sight lines over Piedmont Park, true east facing with nothing sitting in front of them are outperforming. Corner units with wraparound glass that catch both the park and the skyline are outperforming. Buildings along height-restricted stretches like Piedmont Avenue and parts of Juniper, where those limits create more predictable view corridors, are outperforming. It comes down to light, air, and open space in front of you. Buyers understand that. They're not only looking at how it shows today, but thinking about what it's going to be worth years from now. That same scarcity is why the turnkey standard we're about to get into deserves your attention. After all, if someone is paying a premium for a view that can't be taken away, they expect the rest of the unit to feel just as strong. Hot number 5, HOA under 500. With amenities that justify it. Think back to the HOA issue we talked about earlier. $400 a month and it feels like you're getting nothing. Now let's look at what that same number looks like when it actually works. When a Midtown high-rise has dues under $500 a month and it delivers real amenities, buyers move. I'm talking about a pool, a solid fitness center, concierge service, secure entry, and clean and well-kept common areas. When all of that is there, you see speed and you see competition. Buyers are doing simple math in their heads. If I'm paying for this every month, am I actually using it? When the answer is yes, the fee stops feeling like a burden. That alignment between cost and what you can see and use is what creates momentum in this price range. The fee just needs to make sense. Buyers will pay $450 a month without blinking if they're using the rooftop pool and handing packages to a concierge downstairs. That same $450 with no amenities is the exact problem we already covered on the cold side. And here's the best part that ties into what's next. Buyers who feel good about the HOA value almost always walk in with higher expectations inside the unit. And that's where condition becomes the deciding factor. Hot number 6, turnkey condition. You can have the premium view, the deeded parking spot, HOA dues that make sense, and then the buyer walks in and the kitchen looks like it hasn't been updated since the 2000s. That's where the deal falls apart. Today's buyers are done with projects. They want updated kitchens, modern bathrooms, and neutral finishes. No deferred maintenance sitting there waiting for them. If someone is paying in the mid-400s and up, they expect it to feel close to perfect. Pricing a fixer at full market value just doesn't hold right now because buyers have options that are already finished. The kitchen has to feel current. The floors can't look worn out. Nothing should feel like it's been sitting untouched since the building first opened. Buyers are a lot less interested than they were a few years ago in taking on a renovation. Most would rather pay a fair premium and move into something that's already done right. Turnkey condition creates speed at every price point in Midtown, every time. And even that only works if the unit clears one last filter, one that decides whether the buyer even stays long enough to notice those finishes. Hot number 7, livable floor plans. You can have a move-in ready unit, but if the layout doesn't work, it's still a tough sell. Floor plan is the last filter buyers run it through. And right now, that's usually what decides everything. I've seen a 900 square foot unit with a smart layout beat out an 1,100 square foot unit that feels chopped up. Buyers are spending more time at home than they used to. They walk in already knowing what they need. The units that win today have a defined living and dining space, an open kitchen with real storage, a spot that works as a home office or flex space, room for some kind of small fitness setup, enough closet space to actually live there without feeling cramped. People want space to entertain. They want a kitchen that looks good, even if they barely cook. They want somewhere to set up a desk, even if they're only home a few days a week. The layout has to check those boxes. When the layout works, the unit moves faster, no matter the square footage. When it doesn't, cutting the price doesn't really solve it. It just finds a buyer who's willing to compromise. The same Midtown zip code can mean an over 100-day listing or a multiple offer close. And most of the time, the difference comes down to the factors we just walked through. Know your checklist before you make a move, not after the price cuts start. If you want a straight answer on where a specific Midtown property falls before you buy it or list it, email me at hello@vcgrealty.com today. And I linked another video here where I break down 7 Midtown neighborhoods where you get that same Piedmont park access and walkability. If today's breakdown made you feel curious about where the real value pockets are, that video will show you exactly where to look. The 7 most underrated neighborhoods in Midtown Atlanta.